So thank you all for joining us today remotely. We did want to, go over the draft. We have received a couple of written comments that Fausto just emailed out prior to this meeting. So if you haven't checked your emails, there are a couple in there that I encourage you to look at. And then Fausto, I'm going to call on you to take roll before we get started.
Thanks, Lori. Council members, as usual, just indicate if you are present when your name is called, and then I don't think there's any alternates, but if there is an alternate, please state who you are representing. Randy Chevalier.
Present.
Laura Curtis.
Here.
Carmine DeBonis Jr.
Present.
Terry Edwards.
Here.
Jacob Emnett.
Here.
Michael Newman.
Here.
Jake Rhodes. Tom Savage.
Here.
Director Torres. Let me see if he has joined. He's not joined. Director Aylor.
Here.
Thanks, Lori.
All right. Again, thank you all. We appreciate you jumping on. We do have a lot to cover today. We want to begin by going through the draft report section by section. And just to get any comments that you all on the line have to add to the written ones that we received. Again, thank you. We're just going to dive in so that we can get through this in the allotted time. So first would be the cover page. And Fausto, are you going to share the report or the screen, or how do you want to do it? Or do you just want folks to have it up on their end?
If you want me to share, I can go ahead and do that if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think it will. Let's start with the cover pages, and because I know you did send out 2 choices of covers provided for review and comment, or for feedback on which one you all like. There was kind of a modern one and more traditional one. So we can start with those while Fausto's bringing up the report itself. Did anyone have any comments or any preferences for the 2 cover pages that were provided to the council members?
Is there a mid-century modern option? We could all use a laugh at the start of this. No, whatever you all think is fine from my perspective. The modern look just nice, but use your discretion on the pictures.
Any other feedback, comments? Appreciate that, Michael.
I'm okay with either.
Yeah, I thought they both looked nice. You don't want to rely on my fashion sense.
Either works for me too.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the cover page? Hearing none, then let's move in. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to comment. Either one will certainly work for me as well. I do like the more revised one, the imagery. Just kind of brings it into perspective.
All right. Thank you for that. I think that was the modern version, correct? Yep. Okay. I just wanted to make note. All right. So let's move into, and just because we are doing this remote and there's so many of us online as far as the council members go, let's use the raise hand feature just so we're not talking over each other, to have a little bit of order, just because it is hard when it's remote, and we'll try and monitor that. Appreciate that. All right, so let's move into the introductory letter. Was there any comments or additional feedback on that? All right. Seeing none and hearing none, let's move on to the council purpose. Any feedback or comments or red lines that you all made prior to the meeting on this itself? All right, Fausto, let's go into section C, the homeowners insurance market trends. Did anybody have any comments or amendments to this particular section? And keep in mind, this is a rough draft, so we will, I know APCIA did send some red lines that we'll need to look at, as well as there may be some spelling and things like that that we need to address, or formatting still. Let's see, did someone raise their hand? Oh, yep, Jake.
I just had a quick question. Is it just because of kind of the looking backwards from the data that we don't have anything more up to date than 2021 on the premiums?
So on that, that was taken usually, I think that was taken from the reports that we get, and those are usually a couple years behind. We're hoping that's going to change, you know, moving forward. There are some changes taking effect with NAIC, as well as with the passing of the legislation that requires now we collect data. But for the purpose of this report, that's what we have.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I can add that, of course, when Tom gave that presentation, it was December of 2024. So I believe the most recent NAIC report was a 2022 report.
Correct.
If the council would like to see, they probably have the 2023 report out by now. Maybe, knock on wood, I guess. So I can check if that's something that, if the council would like us just to add the additional year on there, it would be an easy fix just to update that graph.
Yeah, I think as long as it's not too much of a bother, just having the most recent data available would be helpful.
Okay, I can check on that.
Yeah, that would be good, Fausto. Thank you.
Any other comments on the market trends? All right, let's move on to the insurance rate regulation section. Any additional comments or amendments, revisions, red lines that you all have on this? Yes, Michael.
Hi, sorry. On the previous section, I didn't realize quite how long it was. If you can go back just one page. I don't recall exactly what APCAA may have said. I am not, but I, from the IBHS perspective, am not familiar with homeowners being guaranteed insurance if they get a wildfire prepared designation. I think that word guarantee could prove problematic, you know, for how long, right? So I would suggest we just, and Laura, I think, has some perspective. She raised her hand, so I'll defer to her here.
Okay, yep, go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Michael. I reached out to Karen Collins and she did the presentation just to see what she remembers actually saying. Again, I think that is problematic if we can remove the word guarantee. But I am finding out from our internal expert what phrasing she believes she used.
All right, we appreciate that. And just so you all know, I was going to let you know this towards the end, but we are going to let you provide written comments later today, as long as we can get it by the close of business today. So if you haven't had a chance to dive into every page of this and you want to take a deeper dive after this meeting, if you can get us those red lines by the end of the day, we'd appreciate it. I just wanted to give you that little bit of leniency since I know you're trying to scramble to read this as we're moving through it, some of you. So, all right, with that, let's see, let's go ahead. Any other comments on this section other than the word guarantee? And we'll make note, Laura, that you're going to verify and get back to that word verbiage with us. All right, let's move on to the next section, the authority over rates. Any comments, changes to this while we're on the call? Okay. Fausto, I think we can move on. All right, how about on the DFFM's fire mitigation efforts?
My apologies. We can see it again.
Yep, we can see it now. All right, hearing none on this. Let's go on, Fausto. Any additional comments while we're on the line to the mitigation efforts section? Yes, Michael.
It's less a question or a line edit. Just to highlight, I think this section is really important, particularly the discussion about fire districts. I know this group is not making any recommendations. I don't know if you were planning on doing some type of executive summary highlighting key findings, but if you do, I would encourage you that this might be part of that, because of the various things I read through the report earlier today, this was one of the pieces, the fire districts in particular, that jumped out at me.
All right, thank you. That's good feedback. Any other feedback, comments? All right, Fausto, let's move on. All right, next is all the modeling. We actually broke it into two parts. This is part one. Any comments? All right, Fausto, let's move on to part two. Anything in this area that you all had concerns, comments? All right, let's go ahead and move on to, I believe it's the technologies. This was research and technologies. Any comments? All right, let's go on to the resilient home section. Any additional comments here? right. Pastor, let's go to the mitigation, I believe was next state we heard from. Any comments on any of the state's information? All right, then let's go to the conclusion. Oh, yes, Laura.
Yeah, we just had some all of this is in the written comments. Sorry, I'm of course having an internet outage today, so adding to the fun. But we did include some feedback on a Colorado bill that we just wanted some clarification added. Again, leave it up to you all if it's possible, because I know we're summarizing someone's comments. But if potentially if there's an ability to add some clarification, it's in the written comments that I provided. Just regarding the trade secret provisions of the Colorado bill and some of the other clarifications.
Okay, we appreciate that. And like I said, we did get those and we did push those out to the council this morning, and we will take those into consideration. Yes, Fausto.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, Laura. I just wanted to add, Laura, this is also one of the sections that, like the entire state section, that the department planned on kind of expanding in each one of those areas as well, just to beef it up a little bit. So hopefully that will address some of your concerns there, just to make sure there's more explanation on each of these programs. Because I do think that this section, probably out of all of the other sections in the report, is probably going to be the most useful for policymakers. So we want to make sure that it's as informative as possible.
And Laura?
Yeah, we appreciate that. And again, it is because this is going to policymakers, I didn't want to get too into the weeds, but if there is an ability, a lot of these bills obviously were supported by some organizations and strongly opposed by others, and negotiations were had and positions changed. So if there is anything to add there, I'm happy to pull some of the background or analysis from the state, obviously not just from APCIA. We can try and find it from a more neutral body if necessary, but just to provide some of the political background that might not quite have been captured by their presenters.
Thank you, Laura. Any other comments? All right, let's move on to the, oh, yep, Michael.
Hi, sorry, we're spinning through so quickly. I missed one again. Actually, two comments. One is, while it is absolutely true that when I presented, Wildfire Prepared was available in just California and Oregon, since then it has become available in Nevada and New Mexico. So you may want to put a note of that in the relevant space. And the other is there was a back and forth with one of our witnesses over passive versus active mitigation. And I just wanted to flag, I'm going to provide some red lines via email on some possible other ways to frame that discussion.
Okay, that would be helpful. And again, your comments, if you can get those to us in writing, I think that would be helpful, and or
Sure.
red line.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Thank you.
Michael, if you need some additional time, always, of course, feel free to send comments later as well. It's just that I want to try to kind of really quickly get a revised version now. I'm going to try to get it out early next week. So that's why I asked for the comments early, but please feel free to continue the comments.
Yeah, I appreciate the grace, but I even with a daughter homesick today, I am fairly certain that I can get to a couple of minor red lines today.
Great, thank you again. All right, any other comments before we head to the conclusion? Yes, Jake.
I just wondered, given kind of the back and forth we're talking about, is it possible, or is it kind of the plan of the department to try and include some of the question and answer in this? Or, and I get it if that's not possible, I just want to ask.
do you mean like questions that came up during the presentations or?
If there was additional clarification sought and given. So I think that's a little bit of what we're talking about.
Or I can help to answer some of that if you'd like.
Okay,
Yeah, as you know, I think Michael kind of brought up, that is discussed in some of those areas. So like specifically where there was some back and forth or like additional clarification that was sought in any areas that that was pertinent and useful information in addition to the presentations. I have strived to include that as well. But if there are, I guess, additional back and forth, if you remember some, or if you go relook at the videos, right? And there's additional things that you think should be included, feel free to put those in your comments as well.
Yeah, thank you, Pastor. I know this is a mammoth undertaking, so I really appreciate the work. I just wanted to check. I appreciate it.
thank you. Is there any other comments before we move on? All right, Fausto, let's move on to the conclusion. So with the conclusion, it's a pretty short conclusion and acknowledgement section. If you all can just make sure you review it and that we're not missing anybody or anything based on the whole year of meetings that we had starting back in December of last year. So it was a lot of undertaking to gather all that information. So we do appreciate you guys making sure and reading and, making sure it's been captured appropriately. And big shout out to Fausto. He did the majority of the work. I tried to help with some of it, but it was a lot of looking at videos and transcripts and going back because we did, meet for an entire year, and trying to go back and get all of that information has been quite the undertaking. Yes, Carmine.
Thanks, Lori. Appreciate it. And big shout out to your team. You all did a super job leading the council through this year-long process, and really want to commend you for the presenters that you lined up to help to educate us and frame out a variety of tools and challenges. And so I thought the report did a good job characterizing the information that we received. Was really pleased with the presentation of it, and didn't have input on how it was characterized. I think in this section, more than any others, I feel as though we're leaving the core question unanswered, and that is, what can homeowners do who find themselves right in the situation where they're struggling to obtain or maintain homeowners insurance? And so from Pima County's perspective, we offered some input to you, and I know that letter has been shared with the council members, and appreciate that being transmitted. And just curious in terms of, once this report is provided without any suggestions for follow-up, who then picks it up from there? And so, things that I felt could be important in talking with others in the county team, were outlined in the letter we sent, and things like, greater transparency in the wildfire risk modeling, looking at maybe establishing resources that homeowners could utilize to help them understand the risk that they're facing, potential for assistance, right, either with tax credit or some other ability to help them do the things that they need to firewise their homes, dealing with challenges that they face where potentially homeowners associations may preclude certain activities that would otherwise better their protections, and maybe even looking at for the segment of homeowners that find themselves without the ability to obtain insurance, having an insurer of last resort option. And so just curious in hearing back, what the next steps might be, right? From an overall, is this handed over and then the policymakers take it from there? Or is there something we could suggest in terms of a follow-on or a continuation of the work that has been started and appreciated and great, progress up to this point?
So I think there will be a continuation in the new task force that was just created. Maria, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I was going to add the creation of the task force and this report also serving sort of as a springboard, a starting point for the task force that does have very specific requirements, including reviewing data related to the fire risk mitigation science and making recommendations related to building codes, defensible space requirements, and ordinances that reduce the risk of wildfire. And so I, thank you so much for your comments today and those submitted in writing. We will certainly take those into consideration and certainly invite you to be part of those discussions as we move forward in, evaluating the information before the task force, including the work that this council has already done.
Tom, I think you had yours up first.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. I don't know if this report is the proper or way to mention this new initiative that Flagstaff had just announced last week regarding a new program for wildfire resilient homes. What I was planning on doing is just sending to you and Fausto the press release that they sent out last week, and it's a new program that Flagstaff adopted to do free home assessments, provide property owners wildfire resilience kits, and there's also a grant program that's provided by the city. And I know this wasn't discussed in the council meetings, but I figured I would just bring it to your attention in case there's either through this report or otherwise, a way to elevate, as an example, what local governments are doing in terms of wildfire mitigation and resiliency.
Thank you. That's great. And, we will be spinning out this task force as well and looking for speakers and information and topics. So that's one we could bring, going forward as well with the task force. But if you could provide that information, that'd be helpful. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, thank you, Lori. And I know the task force will have more leeway to make recommendations, which will help it take it to the next level. I do wonder, in response to Carmine's comments and Tom's, if there's an opportunity to add to this report, whether an appendix or some section at the end with links and almost like you mentioned toolkit, I think, in your opening remarks, Lori. There's a lot of great information in this report. What it doesn't have is direction for how homeowners, local leaders, community groups, or state policymakers can find out more information about all of these resources. And so I wonder, within the bounds of this group's remit, can we create some type of appendix with direction? So if you want to learn about Wildfire Prepared, go here. If you want to learn about Firewise, go there. If you want to learn about Verisk's Fireline, go there. Where every one of these programs that we're discussing, we're providing a little more hand-holding on how to find out more information.
Thank you. That we'll take that into consideration for sure, as possibly including resources. Jake.
Thanks. Just one last question about the Fire Insurance Review Task Force. I think that's the one we're talking about, right? The natural successor to this in 2054. When I look at the kind of the statutory direction, it speaks mostly to making recommendations relating to building codes, defensible space requirements, and ordinances that reduce the risk of wildfire, which are part of, but definitely not all of what we heard from in the policy section. Do you anticipate the review task force will have a broader scope, or will they really be focused on that specific line, the building codes, defensible space requirements, and ordinances?
Maria, do you want to take that, or?
Sure. I think it will depend on the information that we gather. As you may know, the task force is also responsible for, the gathering of various data elements, not only information that we, will be collecting from the insurance companies, but information that is filed with the department, including complaints related to wildfire. And so the review and analysis of that data, it's obviously early to determine what revelations may come from it, but certainly I see that as part of the task force responsibility, which may expand beyond that item number 3, which you read from.
Thank you.
Yes, Randy.
Yeah, thank you. I just kind of want to second what Michael Newman was discussing with maybe a resource list that homeowners or leaders in the communities can kind of rely on to go gather some more information. I think we all understand, and it was well stated, of the limitations that this report kind of has, kind of naturally, because of the foundation of it. And it sounds like the task force should be able to pick up a lot of these pieces. But I feel like that's a great recommendation to, if you just had a resource list where people can go to find out some more information. And I think this task force should be able to augment that moving forward for the next couple of years.
Thank you, Randy. Carmine?
Thanks again, Lori. I love the suggestions that have been made. I may have missed a portion of the council discussion when the task force was being covered, and I didn't see anything in the report specific to it. And so if Maria or somebody could send me just some basic information on where to find more details, I would appreciate that. And I wonder too, in terms of the conclusion and acknowledgement section, if there can at least be a statement indicating that task force, right, will convene and will consider, follow-on steps to this effort and make recommendations of its own. I think that would help at least to inform the public and other interested parties that there's more to come beyond what we've assembled here.
Thank you, Carmine. And that the task force was legislation that passed. So there is a bill out there that outlines the task force and what they duties are, or what they were formed for, as well as the data collection element. So we can send the links to that to you.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like I just did a web search, and it looks like it may be 2054. Is that what it is? HB 2054. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
All right. Any other comments? Jeff Fausto.
Thanks, Laura. I just kind of have like a question / suggestion based on some of the comments that we've received from Carmine and Michael. Specifically, I guess what Carmine provided was, actual like recommendations and things like that naturally come from the report, right, but are not expressed in that format. And on, Michael mentioned like some type of appendix or additional things like that. And honestly, I think comments like that as added like concurrences to the report could be beneficial, right? I know we did as the council was set up itself as not wanting to provide recommendations, but obviously all the organizations represented here have their own positions on things. And so if that's something that they're open to, or if they like that suggestion. Like, I like the idea of if individual council members want to provide stuff like that, that can be added as appendices, excuse me, to the report. Is that something that maybe we could entertain? I wonder what people's comments are on that.
Carmine?
Thanks again, Lori. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the input that the county provided included in, the materials that are distributed with the report. And if that's done through an appendice, that's okay with me.
Any other comments? All right, well, we made it through all of the reports. Like I said earlier, we are going to work on revising the draft report and incorporate all the comments we received in writing, everything that you guys gave us today on this call, as well as any additional written ones that you provide to us. Fausto's going to try and have that revised draft by the 24th. Kind of button up right against the Thanksgiving holiday. Our goal is to try and set up another meeting, possibly on December 1st, to hold a vote for the final draft. Will that work for everyone if we just do a short, maybe 15-minute meeting on the 1st? And with that, not go through the report again like we did today, kind of rely on you all to do the final read before then and be prepared to vote on the 1st to release it. If that works for everybody, that will be the plan. We'll get something posted for that meeting, and just want to make sure that you're all in favor of that before we move forward. Yep, Randy?
December 1st is the Arizona Fire Chiefs Presidential Forum. Certainly support the day. Myself and Chief Rhodes might not be in attendance, as we'll be attending that presidential forum.
Fausto, could we do it on the 2nd by chance? Would that?
I mean, well, there's nothing necessarily barring us from pushing past our own deadline, but as long as we have a quorum present, because the deadline that we did send the original charter was December 1st. So understand, obviously, if with short notice, if you can't make it, Randy, you and Jake, but as long as we have at least 6 council members, then we can go ahead and hold a vote.
Does that sound reasonable to everyone? Okay.
Yeah, is it possible to designate proxies? I'm sorry, I should have raised my hand.
Oh, that's all right. I would say, I was going to ask if that or Fausto, could they vote by mail or email?
We've allowed alternates, so as long as, if you have an alternate come, of course, just when we take attendance, as long as they acknowledge who they are representing, then that should be fine.
And Laura, it looks like you had your hand up.
That was going to be my question, just because I have a flight that day. Alternate, if it does conflict with when I'm exactly in the air.
Okay. All right. With that, any last comments before we wrap up? Again, appreciate you all. We all appreciate all the time that you've put into this. It's been a long process. We did start this in December of 24. We're now moving into December of 25. It's hard to believe it's been a year, but it's gone by quickly, and we appreciate all the feedback, comments, and your participation. Laura, looks like you have something else.
Just to say thank you, just to all the time that was already echoed. I'm just some of the other council members, but the amount of time that this one took for the department to host everybody and have these meetings, but then to and your team to take the pen and try to summarize everything that was discussed and presented. We're just really appreciative of it, and I'm sure it was countless hours. So thank you all.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. Okay, with that, then we will adjourn, and you all will be hearing from us. And just remember to get any additional comments to Fausto